It is a collection of human behavior mixed to that or matched to that of the organizational setting. Employees will behave in certain ways in the structure and organization of work settings. They respond to different methods of communication, and moreover they can use it to identify employees when they come to the leadership and other key behavioral factors. Good morning and welcome to the first session in Unit 1, third semester BBA Organizational Behavior, where we are going to talk about Introduction to Organizational Behavior. Now, what exactly is organizational behavior? Is it concerned with the behavior of human beings, the behavior of organization, or a collection of multiple sectors, multiple fields of study? Now, let's get into it in order to understand organization behavior better. Now, this is defined as a study of behavioral dynamics of individuals and group in organization setting, including the corporate offices. So whenever I'm going to talk about organization behavior, it is a collection of human behavior mixed to that or matched to that of the organizational setting. Now that includes the corporate offices, the dynamics under which an organization expects its employees to behave. So there are particular norms, there are particular rules and regulations, there are particular patterns under which an employee is expected to behave and continue. Now, to meet the short and long-term goals, business leaders need to understand what motivates their employees. So let us first look into this sentence. What motivates their employee? The biggest challenge today in any of the organization, however big, however tall and strong you are in the corporate world, the challenge remains to keep your employee motivated for a long time. Whenever an employee joins an organization, he is initially taken over by the salary, by the benefits and the surroundings, which means the work environment. But as he starts working over a period of time, he starts understanding that this gets quite monotonous, this gets quite ordinary and boring for him. So the organization has to find innovative methods to keep the employee motivated for a longer time and purpose. So that's where the managers, the leaders of the organization have to understand the employees clearly in terms of what would be the best way to keep the employee motivated and how they can interact with each other. So interaction, communication, motivation will form the key aspects of organizational behavior. Followed by that information can help in a host of areas including training, development, innovation and collaboration. Now, they believe that for an organization to grow, it is all about the human behavior and psychological factors. Now, though the organization might have established themselves as a leader in that particular sector, in the particular area of expertise, but then the human resources play a pivotal role in terms of understanding how the organization can be taken forward. So sometimes you need to understand, listen to their queries, find out what can be the better ways to motivate them, to keep them engaged in the work, provide them better platform for training and development, and also understand how the innovative factors of their mind can be collaborated with the organization's vision and mission so that you can make the organization a better place to work. Followed by, let's try to understand where are the roots of the organization behavior. Now, the first thing I'm going to look into psychology and sociology, which are the two important factors, two important fields from where we draw the inspiration towards organization behavior. Why these two factors are important, these two fields of study are important. Why? Because they are more interested about the human relation, the connectivity of emotions from organizational perspective to that of the human perspective. Now, whenever you study this subject psychology, it's more about studying the mind of an individual. Sociology is a study of human interest and interaction with the society. That's exactly where organization behavior comes as a clustered factor altogether. Why? Because it tries to understand this factor. What is the relationship level between these multiple subjects that connects to one fine dot called as the organization behavior? Now, if you look here, most of the business managers, leaders, try to bring in multiple factors to understand one simple concept called as organization behavior. Now, when we go through this, there are a lot of academic studies that act, and there are principles that are primarily attempted and accepted to make the business operate effectively. But in short, if I have to tell you, until you understand the psychological factors and the sociological factors, you cannot aspire or you cannot make your organization the best place to work with. Now, when people join companies like Google or Yahoo or Microsoft or any other companies for that matter, they look into the organization as a sense of motivation. They feel it that this is a perfect place where I can gel in terms of my career aspirations as well as my personal space for growth. That's exactly where an organization creates that platform where every employee can interact, where every employee can visualize, dream, and take forward their careers in terms of growth. Followed by the core level of organizational behavior examines the behavioral tendencies of individuals within the context of various group settings. Now, whenever you take a fish out of a pond and drop it into another pond, the fish might not immediately get adjusted, though the water remains the same. Now, you might say that fish, after all, needs water for survival. And human beings, after all, need a space for survival. But that might not be true in the context of organization behavior. The water may be same, but the group is not the same. The environment is not the same. The human beings might not get immediately adjusted to the new environment, to the new groups in which they are associated with. So what happens exactly? Let's go back and try to analyze this factor clearly. Behavioral tendencies. This word is very important here. What is the kind of behavior an individual will exhibit when it comes to a group? I might be a good team player in certain levels, but I would prefer to be an individual contributor at many levels. So that's exactly where the organization has to strike a balance to understand me better as a player in the organizational context. Sometimes we might find that, the organization is giving me a chance to become a leader. Sometimes the organization gives me a chance to become a good team player. So it is very important that we bring in the context of OB at this particular juncture. Followed by, researchers have discovered that organizational behavior roles are both social and environmental. Now, the society that you come from, the environment in which you have been brought up, and what kind of system and what kind of societal values that you carry really matters to the organization today. You cannot expect that people will have the same level of communication, knowledge, interaction or collaboration in the organization. Why? Because that is found out by research and proof that people will definitely try to be unique. They will try to behave in a different format altogether when they are coming into a new organization. So the way individuals will work together in group has got a significant impact on overall productivity. So that's true that you would see that productivity will get affected if you are not being able to understand the background of the employee, specifically from the intellectual as well as from the behavioral perspective. So one has to understand that if the organization has to grow competitive enough in terms of making the environment, making the system look more appealing for the future employees, they need to understand, they need to define the organizational behavior perspectives, the norms in such a way so that they can get the best individuals to work for them at the right time. followed by which I would like to talk about what is analyzing of organizational behavior and why that becomes very important for you in the group dynamics today. Now, whenever we make friends, we start making this exercise, or we rather start this exercise with a simple factor called as likes and dislikes. Now, we don't go and join every group just because there are people available out there. We join a particular group because you are able to mind and map that mindset with people. You are able to match your mindset. You are able to match your thought process with people out there. So similarly, when we talk about group dynamics, that actually helps the organization to define its structure and achieve its goal. What kind of people are we selecting? What is the purpose of those individuals in the organization? What is the behavioral pattern that the organization and the management have created, visualized for themselves, and how are the people who have joined us need to get adjusted to that pattern. So there is a whole lot of dynamics that goes inside in defining the organizational behavior pattern. One has to understand whether we are getting the right kind of people for the right kind of job, followed by are we creating the right kind of environment for the people to survive and continue to deliver as per the needs. Now, employees will behave in certain ways in the structure and organization of work settings. They respond to different methods of communication. Now, the moment I switch myself to the world of communication, it becomes quite complex today because we are all a part of the digital revolution that is going around us. From the normal methods, the regular methods of writing a letter, we have gone to the extent of emojis. We have gone to the extent of just writing things to Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, and any other kind of social media platforms, including the email factors that I'm talking about. So now what happens is that when the management drops an email to the employees talking about benefits or about any important communication, or it might be about their salary structure, it might be about a revision in terms of the team or plan, there is automatically a behavioral output that comes out from the employee side. Now that can be positive or negative depending upon the type of communication and the content of the message that is going to be delivered. So for every organization, one needs to understand what they are exactly projecting towards the employee. They cannot write a message just for the heck of it. They will not be able to send a message to any of the employee trying to abuse, trying to use a language which is not professional. They need to be very clear about what they are sending and what would be the reaction for that message. Now, when you go further, you will also try to understand how the individual employees respond to each other is essential for making more productive and successful organization. What's the level of interaction that you see within an organization? There are many companies in this world, which I would like to mention at this point, which do not allow too much of interaction because they feel that that can affect the productivity during the office hours. There are organizations which feel that employees need to be more focused rather than social in nature. But on the other side, when I'm going to talk about, there are organizations which want the environment to be more informal, more social, and they need that organization to be more interactive in nature. So they promote that kind of a culture. Now, organization behavior heavily relies upon the factor called as the intercommunication between employees, between the managers and the levels of management structure. Why? Because that makes the organization effectively perform. So the more you are outward in terms of reaching the employees, making them understand how we can do things better, how you can solve a problem together, how you can look into the solution for the upcoming challenges, automatically the organization becomes proactive. The employees will also start setting up their goals according to the organization, and you create a team that is always active and responsive to any kind of challenges that is being thrown around. So that's why organization behavior's primary ideology here is that to improve the individual communication so that you are able to grow as an organization together. Followed by which we try to understand the business leaders in terms of their attitudes and behavior. That is very important for the company's values, strategies, and goals. And moreover, they can use it to identify employees when they come to the leadership and other key behavioral factors. Now, whenever we talk to our seniors, when I use the word senior from a management perspective standpoint, from the levels of authority and designation, it is very important how we address them, what kind of attitude and behavior we show in front of them. And whenever there is a meeting or there is a social gathering or there is a team hurdle that's going on, how do we take forward ourselves? So organization behavior helps you to evaluate their own attitude and behavior. Many people today are indifferent to their managers, to their boss, because they feel that I am more important than the organization itself. I might not be in sync with my manager, with my leader. I might feel that I am a serious contributor, a more valuable contributor to the organization compared to that of my higher ups. Secondly, I might also feel that my behavior is more refined, more matured, because I have spent years of my experience and time, hard work in terms of being a part of an organization. So if I'm going to be dictated, if I'm going to be counseled and advised by my boss how I need to behave, how I need to talk, how I need to walk, I might not be the person who's going to receive it in the well manner. So what happens here is that organization behavior also sets the right context, the platform for how people need to behave, how they need to talk, how they need to mend their ways. Now, when I say this word, the how factor coming into picture, I'm not putting this as a method of a punishment. I'm not putting this as a force, rather a reprimand altogether. I'm putting it as a corrective action policy. I want organizations to understand that every new method, solutions, or innovations that you start bringing inside needs to be a method, needs to be an ideology to correct the employee behavior rather than put it as a punishment method. So any of the organizational behavior standards that an organization will set will try to correct the behavior, enhance the performance, and deliver as per the standards required, and not demotivate or de-alienate the employee altogether. Followed by which, have a keen understanding for this behavior. Why? Because it helps you to build the team and manage the conflict, which is very important today. Because if you are going to get into a conflict role altogether with your managers, with your supervisors altogether, that will not help you to function the organization as what we want. So most of the time, our aim is to resolve conflicts and not expand conflicts. So organization behavior is one such area that teaches the employee as well as the managers to resolve conflicts, to bring in that peaceful environment where everybody can join hands together, solve the problem, and work towards a common goal altogether. Now, the other thing is that why this understanding is because I'm going to use these two words here called as authority and structure, which is very important today. Now, whenever you join an organization, the most important thing that when you look into your appointment letter is the designation in which you have been selected. So when I say that my name is so-and-so and I have been selected as a vice president of a company, CEO, or I'm being selected as general manager, senior manager, or I'm selected as a president of a group, head of an organization, all these titles mean certain things, mean some for me in terms of the organization. They have some great value inside me. Why? Because is this title being given just as a title, or title with authority and responsibility behind it? So when I say that I'm the vice president of finance division, I'm the vice president of the marketing division, am I being just given the title of being a vice president, or am I being given the authority to deliver function as I want to do so that I can take the group forward? So authority and structure are two important factors that determine how employees will take forward within the group. And when you identify the tendencies, the operational strategy with each employee behavior strength, they will have a positive impact towards a company's growth as well as the job satisfaction. So when you give the employee the respective position with authority to deliver what is expected, automatically the employee takes the moral responsibility and he grows within and develops the organization to a better standard altogether. But if you're just going to give an employee only a fancy title, that might not last for longer and the organizational structure might take a beating in the long run. Now, the other thing is a deep understanding of what you are doing, why it is important, and how do you contribute to the organizational growth, followed by the awareness of how they can motivate the employee and provide them better structures altogether. So as a leader, you need to know OB because you can motivate people, and you need to have a deeper understanding of how the organizational behavior actually creates and improves the organizational effectiveness. With this, I come to the end of today's session. I hope and believe that all the contents that were discussed in this particular session will be of a great value to you in terms of theory as well as in the practical walk of life. In the upcoming sessions, we would be learning more about the dynamics of OB. We would be learning more about the group behavior and other patterns of OB. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and always keep learning. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.